Hello again. This video is for the HVAC supply system handout. Today we'll be loading in a couple different families as well as placing the vertical and horizontal duct runs for the project. So first we want to insert the mechanical AON unit. So we'll go to the Insert tab, Load Family, and this will be in the MEP Families for Students that I gave you from the shared drive, and it's going to be this first unit, the air handling unit AON R&D. So I'm going to double click to load it in. Now you see down here in my families area, mechanical equipment, and now we have the air handler AON unit. For this project we're going to use the 50 to 70 ton. So I'm going to start by placing this on the roof. So I'm going to go to my roof view. I'm going to find the economizer 50 to 70 ton unit. I'm going to click and drag over to my roof. Alright, so you want to make sure this thing is oriented the correct way. We actually want it to be rotated 180 degrees from the way it comes in. We want you see at the bottom that wider rectangle that is our supply or the air output. So before I place it, I can hit the space bar and rotate it. Or if it's already placed, you can just click and use your rotate and rotate it 180 degrees. So that'll get it into the correct orientation. Alright, next we're going to set it a specific distance from the inside parapet wall here. So to do that, we're going to use the Align at Dimension tool. So that is either here in the Annotate tab, Align Dimension, or up here in the Quick Access toolbar. It should be there by default. I'm going to activate this. I'm going to go from the inside of the parapet wall. I'm going to go to anywhere on the far left hand side of my unit here. So click to place the dimension and then click in open space again to actually drop the dimension. We're going to do a vertical dimension now. I want to make sure to snap it or place it on the outermost part of the unit. So click and again drop in open space. Alright, so normally you can't edit dimensions to change what they say. If you double click on it, you see you can replace it with text, but you can't actually change the dimension. The trick is you have to select your unit and then you see the dimensions turn to a light blue color. So then you can click in it and type your dimension. So I'm going to do 44 feet 2 inches, 12 foot even on my vertical dimension. Alright, so this should, I'm going to go ahead and delete these. This should line up my unit onto the mechanical chase. So I'm going to go to my second floor here. You can see your unit. So if you click on it, you have your output here. You see up here it says out. And your in down here, this is your return air. And we will eventually come out and then come over a dog leg out and then go straight down the chase with the return air. But we should not see this unit in this view here. So I want to go back to my roof plan. I'm going to place a couple sections, one vertical and one horizontal, so that we can see this unit in the chase all together. And again, in the Quick Access toolbar, your section is this little circle with an arrowhead on it. Or if you go into views, you have sections here in the middle as well. I'm going to activate this. I'm going to pull this section here far enough. Remember the light blue dotted line is how far your section actually sees. So if you have the section real close, you're not going to be able to see everything. It only sees out to this dotted line. You want to make sure you pull your section and encompass your full unit. I'm going to use this section again and create a horizontal section looking all the way through this unit. I'm going to go into the vertical section here, and this is why you're seeing the unit on that second floor. You have your roof level here, and the way they built this family is that the plane is right here, right on the roof level. It's right here. So we actually want to bring up this bottom line to the top of the roof, because these things sit, they're rooftop units. So we'll move it up. You can either use your modify move command, or you can use Align. I'm going to click on Align, click on the rooftop first, and then go and zoom in and make sure you're clicking, because there's two lines here side by side, so make sure you're clicking on the bottommost line. You see now I have my unit that is directly on top of the roof. Here's our mechanical chase here. Now we're going to draw our initial duct. You can click on your unit, and where it says out right here, you can actually click on both either the in or the out, and this will start the duct command attached to the node. Alright, so I'm going to pull this guy down. I'm going to run this duct all the way down. This is the ceiling on the lower floor. So we're going to run it down roughly 21 feet. You can always click and move this around afterwards if you need. Alright, so you notice we placed our initial duct, and it's just a single line. That is because our detail level of this view is on coarse. So if I go from coarse to fine or medium, then you'll see the actual width of the duct in your transitions here. By default, it wanted to make that duct 65 by 46. We just go in here and change this to, we want this to be a 60-inch width by 30-inch width. Sorry, 30-inch height. And then we want this to neck down right about this, right here at the ceiling of our second level. To do that, you can just use your split line tool right here, and I'm going to trim it a little bit up here, and then you can just select this lower piece of duct now and change this to 54 by 22. Don't worry about if you get this in the wrong place. You can select your transition here and move him up and down. That is the initial duct riser. Alright, so let's load in a couple taps so that we can connect to this duct correctly. This one's going to be in the Insert Load Family. This one is in the Default tab. Sorry, the Default library. If you scroll down over here, you see by default it goes back to where you loaded your last family from. I go to my Imperial Library, which is the second to last icon on the left scroll down menu. I'm going to go to Duct, Fitting, Rectangular, and Taps. We want to load in this rectangular angled tap DTL, as well as the rectangular tap beveled. If you hold Control down, you can select both of these in one go and open them and just load them at the same time. Now we want to make sure, alright, we're going to click on this duct. If it's not, you need to change this to the mitered, rectangular duct mitered elbow taps. Then we're going to go into Edit Type. And from here we're going to go into Routing Preferences. And this is how we're going to control how our ducts join, kind of the different types of junctions. Change our junction here from rectangular takeoff standard. We're going to change this to beveled standard here. Alright, so this will allow us to attach ducts to this, and it'll turn into just a beveled tap, which is what we want for this. Now we want to draw our ducts from basically our horizontal duct runs. So I'm going to go into my Systems, Duct. So you see here you have your width, your height, and then you have your offset too. So this one is important. So this is how high your duct is above the floor. One thing we're going to do is I'm going to measure this real fast. So I'm going to go from level 2 up to the bottom of this structural beam. So this is webbing. So if I go into this other section, go make this fine. So you see this is this webbing pattern structural framing. So we can't run our duct in this area here. We're going to essentially take the duct to the left and to the right, but we want to hug it pretty close to this structural framing here. Alright, so let's start on level 1. So I'm going to go into level 1. See, I brought that duct far enough down that it's visible in this view here. From here on out, it's going to be essentially drawing the duct. You want to make sure that your width and your height match what's on the handout, and then your offset you're really just going to have to play around with and look in sections. You can move these sections around and kind of see where you're placing your duct in relation to the ceiling, both the first and the second floor. First, I'm going to run a 42 by 20, 42 inch by 20 inch, and let's do 12 feet and see how that works. 42 by 20 down to about here. Alright, you see your duct command is still active. You can go in here and you can change this to 24 by 20 now. That's the initial run. So I'm going to pull my section. I'm just going to pull this all the way down so that I can see this full run here. At 12 feet, it's a little low. This is a ceiling. This piece can come essentially and almost hug it. We'll eventually end up capping it. But now we want to move this up. You just click on it, and you can either manually change the offset, or you can just use your up arrow, and that'll push it up. Now you see we don't have that webbing down here on the second floor. Sorry, the first floor. You can run that up to about 13. Let's just do an even 13 feet. Alright. And then let's go the other way with a 26 by 20 duct. So this one's going to be 26 by 20. Let's make it the same 13-foot offset. I'm just going to pull this over to here. Be careful you don't hit the wall here for the elevator pit, because that does run all the way up to the deck. You can click on here. The thing about these taps here is that they can essentially go anywhere on that vertical or on the face of the duct. You see how I can scooch this guy over, and you know you've gone too far when you get this error here. It says tap must be attached to duct, and this turns orange here. If I go back, then it turns white again. And I'm just going to get it pretty close to this wall, not too close. It doesn't. Just make sure you don't have any overlap here like that. That is the main duct run on the first floor. Alright, so I'm going to go up to the second floor, and I believe it was 13.4 from here to here, so yeah, 13.4. Here's the ceiling for the second floor, so we have to be in this area right here. So now we can start drawing our duct. One thing to know though is that if you're drawing in a different view, or I guess a section, but looking at the duct sizes on a floor plan, then you will need to swap the height and the width. Basically, so the main duct on the second floor is a 42 by 20, but if you're going to draw it in the elevation here, you'll need to swap that to a 20 by 42. So I'm going to start my duct. And another thing to kind of be careful of is that, so if we go and change this to a 20 by 42, now if I go and click on this duct here, and you see, when attached to the side or the center, it doesn't really matter. As soon as I click on this, it changed the width and the height to that initial, to the size of the duct that I just clicked on. So you may need to go back and just activate the duct tool, start your duct, and then change the size. Once again, make sure on rectangular duct mitered elbow taps. This is going to be a 20 by 42. I can draw it over. Alright, so now we do want to move this down just a little bit, though it's not as critical here because we're running parallel with these supports. So if I go into my other section right here, you see that here's the beams, here's my duct. So it could be a little bit higher and tuck it in between, but you have to be careful because we're going to come off the left and the right here and to run our FPVAVs or FPTUs. Okay, so let's see how high is this. So this duct is, let's go back into our other section. You see right now it's saying reference level 1 at 27 feet. Let's change this to level 2. It's saying 12.4. Let's do 12 feet on this one as well. That's actually a little low. Let's do 12.6. There we go. So now you're still below the beams, but you have clearance. You're not sitting right on top of the deck. And another thing is you want to make sure your bevels, or sorry, your miters here, these are always angled basically with the airflow. So air will be coming out of the unit and flowing and coming on this corner. So this helps reduce the drag or the pressure. If it was just a hard 90, it would not flow as well. All right, so we're going to go to the other side as well. That one is 26 by 20 as well. I'll go draw this one in the floor plan. So I'll click on duct. This one is 26 by 20 by 20, and our offset was 12.6. Alright, so you want to make sure you run it actually to the duct here. Let's just get it close, then we'll go into the section. It was maybe trying to make a weird angle. Alright, so go into this section here, and there's our tap. Really, with this stuff, is kind of flip it back and forth to 3D or sections, or kind of making sure everything looks good. A lot of flipping the sections in 3D and kind of double checking your work. Alright, go back to our roof plans. Now we're going to place the exhaust fan. That one is an insert load family. That is in the shared drive families that I gave you. So it would be Project 2, MEP families for students, and this one is the centrifugal fan rooftop here. So I'll double click on that and it'll load it in, and you see now it's in my mechanical equipment, the centrifugal fan. Alright, so this one I'm going to use this first one, this 2099 to 4036 CFM. I'm going to click and drag, and you see by default place on vertical faces on. So if I'm on my rooftop, it's not actually letting me place it. It will let me place it on a sidewall, but we want to place on face. And that'll let us place it on the actual roof here. Alright, so I'm going to click and drop it. We want to do the same thing with the dimensions that we did for the rooftop unit, except this one we are going from the rooftop unit to center point here, and then this side to the center point here. And we're going to make this 8 feet on both. Alright, and delete these when you're done. Alright, lastly we want to load in our fan terminal powered boxes for our level 1 and level 2. So insert load family. These are the tightest boxes. It is this tightest box right here. So I'm going to double click. So now we have the Titus DTQS loaded in. This one is the only family that's under this type is this one. Okay, let's start placing our Titus FPT units. Scroll down in my families, locate the Titus, just click and drag. You do want to make sure one that the boxes are oriented the correct direction. That small piece right here is your inlet. This is where the air will come in. Set your offset to 12 here. And then you can hit your space bar and that'll rotate them around. And from here we'll place these guys down. Now we have our boxes at 12 feet. And we want to create our round ductwork. Go on to ductwork, and then you want to make sure you're using round duct with taps. These are 14 inches. You do want to make sure that your level, your reference level, is the level that you're on. Otherwise, this would try to place the duct at 12 feet above level 2, so it's way too high. So make sure it's level 1. This was 12'6", I believe. Let's double check that. 13 feet. So duct level 1, let's do 13 feet. Click and drag. And you can remember use create similar. Okay, so now we have all of our 14-inch round duct. Now we want to create flex duct from the endpoints to the actual units. Alright, so I will go to Systems, Flex Duct. Before we start drawing, so we want to make sure it's the same size as our duct, so 14. We also want to change our flex pattern in here and change this to oval. Now you just click on your end node and the node for your fan power terminal. You see it creates a spline. So there's the first floor. Now we'll do our second floor. We'll insert our Titus units. Same thing, make sure they're facing the correct direction. This one down here in this zone, place one up here. Alright, and this duct is at 12'6", so we will do duct, round duct. Make sure our offset is 12'6" on the second floor, which looks like everything's good. And I will start drawing. Some more flex duct. So FD is flex duct. Still an oval. Okay, and once you're done with the power terminals on level 1, level 2, you are done with the exercise.